When I was 6 months pregnant, my husband sent me to the countryside, but my mother-in-law always liked to talk to my belly, until I woke up again in the middle of the night. I found my mother-in-law had sneaked into my room. She was smiling while touching my belly, and whispered, "Good. Good. Almost ready. Our family can finally get a new house." I was jolted awake. In the dim room, my mother-in-law's eyes were sharp and bright, like a sly fox in the dark. "Mom, why aren't you asleep yet this late?" My voice was a bit scared, but then I thought, after all, she was my own mother-in-law. She wouldn't have any bad intentions, right? Oh dear. My bad. My bad. I just wanted to check if you were hungry. You know, pregnant women get hungry fast. Didn't expect you to wake up. After I said I wasn't hungry, my mother-in-law apologized to me, while carefully backing out of the room. But that scene kept replaying in my mind. I barely slept all night. Just before dawn, I heard faint voices outside the door. Sounded like someone came to ask my mother-in-law for help. I figured I'd be staying here for another month or two. Might as well go along and get familiar with the place. But by the time I slowly got up, I only saw my mother-in-law's receding figure. After thinking for a moment, I still followed her. It wasn't fully light yet. From a distance I saw a group of people gathered around the foundation, murmuring about something. The old man leading them was holding a red bundle. "Finally here. If we don't build our house soon, we're gonna go broke." "We're almost there too. My daughter-in-law is so accurate. I've got it all figured out." My mother-in-law chimed in cheerfully. "What does my baby have to do with building a house?" Right when I was confused, the old man urged my mother-in-law to start quickly. She took the red cloth bundle, and then took the lit incense someone handed her. Hugging the red bundle, she started hopping on the spot, humming under her breath, chanting some hard-to-understand words. I always knew my husband's family had these customs around here. I mean, whenever we go on a trip, he always makes sure to pick a good day for it. I don't really get it, but I respect it. I wanted to walk a bit further, get a closer look. But then, out of nowhere, this ragged woman burst out of the bushes. Without a word, she charged straight at my mother-in-law. She was mumbling something. "Give Ninu back to me. Give Ninu back to me, you animals." In the scuffle, the cord around my mother-in-law's arms got yanked off, and a red cloth bundle fell open, revealing a baby's arm as pale as a peeled lotus root. But my mother-in-law suddenly turned into a different person. Gone was her usual kindness. She shoved the woman away viciously, and yelled at the old man, "I guess you don't want that house built anymore, do you? How did you let her escape? Get her out of here now." The old man didn't dare to hesitate. He called over 2 guys and dragged the woman away. At that point, I was even more confused. Why would my mother-in-law steal someone else's kid? But what happened next almost scared me to death. 2 young guys stepped forward and dug open the foundation. My mother-in-law knelt on the ground. Holding the baby, she crawled step by step to the edge of a pit. Then, carefully, she placed the baby into the pit. With a signal from my mother-in-law, a rock, easily weighing over 30 pounds, was dropped straight into the pit on top of the baby. At what I saw, I was so terrified I couldn't even breathe. I dug my nails into my own thigh. But before I could even scream, my mother-in-law and the others, they had just killed a baby. In the dim light, my mother-in-law's face looked more and more twisted, so I didn't dare to get any closer. My mind was flooded with those words she said at night while touching my belly. I desperately wanted to get away. But the more I panicked, the more mistakes I made. I stumbled back the way I came, but I hadn't gone far when I startled a stray dog curled up by the roadside. It started barking wildly, and instantly caught that group's attention. "Someone's there. Who is it? Say something. We can't let this get out. Search for them." The sound of stomping and shuffling got closer and closer. I crouched behind a pile of hay, too scared to move an inch. Just when I thought I was totally trapped, a small childish voice suddenly whispered in my ear, "You're coming with me." That is when I noticed a girl with a ponytail popping out of the haystack. Under her big round eyes were dark, bruised-looking circles. At first glance, it was honestly pretty creepy. She smiled down at my feet. Then she led me running down the side path. I wasn't even thinking straight at that point. I followed her all the way into the village. Then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. I started banging on doors frantically, trying to get someone to call the cops, but nobody would answer, until I got to this rundown house. "Please, help me call the police. Someone's been killed. I'm pregnant. They're coming after me." I was crying and begging, until a woman, about the same age as my mother-in-law, cautiously opened the door. In my excitement, I grabbed her hand. Her hand was freezing cold. It was so cold it made me shiver. What freaked me out even more was her old face covered in twisted scars. But before I could even explain, a hand suddenly landed on my shoulder. "Daughter-in-law, where did you run off to? I've been looking all over for you." I froze up. The woman inside the house didn't say a word, slamming the door shut, like she didn't want any trouble either. My mother-in-law grabbed my arm with a tight grip and dragged me all the way back home. By then, it was already broad daylight. I kept looking around, hoping to find a chance to run. Even just getting my phone to call my husband would have been something. But my mother-in-law closed the door, and I didn't get a single chance. I made up my mind. I just say I went out looking for him and took a wrong turn. Anything but admit I saw them kill someone. But my mother-in-law just stared at me for a long time with this judging look. Right when I let my guard down, she suddenly snapped. What were you doing at that little house? What did that woman tell you? Mom, I just took a wrong turn. Before I could finish, she cut me off with a wave of her hand. Don't try to fool me. I know you went there. It is not really a big deal anyway. Just some old customs. He said it like it was nothing. Like he had just killed a chicken. My heart started twitching uncontrollably. Maybe it was my motherly instincts kicking in. I straightened my neck and called him out on his lie. What crap tradition? You killed a living child. That is illegal. I almost screamed those words with all my might. My mother-in-law was stunned for a moment. Then she suddenly laughed. You must have seen things wrong, kid. That was just a dummy doll. A doll. Seeing that I didn't believe her, my mother-in-law sighed and said, she took me to see it. She took me back to that place from last night. This is an old tradition of ours. Before building a new house, we sew the family's birth dates into dolls and seal them underneath. This one's called my big brother. As she said that, she pointed at the pit I saw last night. She told someone to dig it up and show me. At first that old man wasn't willing. Luckily my mother-in-law has some pull. After a few words, someone actually started digging. She pulled out a red cloth bundle covered in yellow dirt. Inside it was exactly as she said. Could it be that I really saw it wrong? On the way back, I was starting to doubt myself. After all, the facts were right in front of me. Maybe I was just being too jumpy. Seeing that I was upset, my mother-in-law offered to take me around to relax. This is Auntie Anne. Aunt Liz got it good. Both her sons are in big business. Loaded. This is Uncle Liu. He has got just one daughter. She is gorgeous. Her name is Leona. She is a celebrity. Leona, the Leona I know. She is a queen-level star. Her skincare line costs a few grand for a set. Even over 10,000 bucks. My mother-in-law kept introducing villagers to me along the way. But without noticing, my focus drifted to the houses one by one. Logically, these kids all have plenty of money. Why are they still willing to live in this old building? The best anyone has is old John's place, which was just newly built. Honestly, at first, when my mother-in-law wanted to take me back to the countryside, I was totally against it. After my parents passed away, I went off on my own to make a living elsewhere. Then I met my current husband, Liu Yuan. But I had only met my mother-in-law briefly at our wedding, and I was scared we wouldn't get along. When I first saw my husband's old house, my heart just sank. It looked like some remote mountain area, with no power or internet. Until I saw what was inside. I was totally shocked. It wasn't super fancy, but the decor was no worse than a city apartment. Now it seems like everyone in the village is like this. They really don't show off at all. I was thinking to myself. This walk completely eased my worries. The villagers are down to earth. And they all greeted me warmly. They definitely didn't seem like criminals. I guess what they say about pregnant women being extra sensitive isn't just a rumor after all. But just as I was letting my guard down, I spotted a familiar figure in the corner of an old building from afar. It was that little girl with pigtails. She was timidly hugging the wall, waiting until no one was looking. Then secretly waved me over. Then, she glanced at my mother-in-law and shook her head in fear. I immediately understood what she meant. She wanted me to avoid my mother-in-law and follow her. So I made up an excuse. And I followed her. She still led the way at a steady pace. And before I knew it, I was back near that run-down old house. But this time, I didn't see that woman around my mother-in-law's age. Instead, I saw old John dragging last night's woman with two other guys toward the back of the ruined house. I held my breath and cautiously followed them. They dragged that woman into a room. I peeked through a crack in the bricks and saw something horrible. The two men were callously assaulting that woman, and she had none of last night's wildness left. She just lay there, staring blankly. Old John stood by coldly watching, and even impatiently urged them on. Hurry it up. Don't you guys want to build your house? Auntie Liu said. As long as we pop out a few more baby girls, everyone will have a good life. One of the men said, panting heavily. Uncle, Auntie Liu's own place hasn't been renovated in years. So, I started to say, but before he could finish, old man, John cut him off. What the hell do you know? He has got it covered himself. Didn't you see his wife's belly is already showing? Oh yeah, I think she still looks gorgeous even pregnant. And her belly's pointy. It is probably a girl. Old man John didn't say yes or no. Then he clicked his tongue. I gotta say that guy's son really made it big. He is willing to go all out. He'd even sacrifice his own granddaughter who hasn't been born yet. Old man John's words made me tremble uncontrollably. Could it be that grandma really? Just as my mind was racing, a cold hand covered my mouth. Don't be scared. I can get you out of here. That hand was covered in calluses. But it felt strangely familiar. I was about to struggle. But once I heard they could save me, I let them drag me off to the side. After they let go, I immediately backed away. It was the woman from that rundown house. She twitched the corner of her mouth, like she was trying to be friendly. But it only made her look even creepier. Don't be scared. I'm here to save you. Here, how about this, kid? Let me tell you a story first. The woman said her last name is Ma, and told me to call her Granny Ma. Her family was the only one in the village that hadn't built a new house, because they were poor. But why were they poor? Because she refused to do those awful things. This village has a twisted feng shui setup. Every family has to renovate their house regularly to ensure generations of good luck. Granny Ma asked if I'd ever heard of building with life sacrifices. I shuddered. Building with life sacrifices is an evil, ancient ritual. Legend says, if you use human sacrifices in the foundation, everything goes smoothly. But because it is so evil, most places switch to sacrificing animals. You mean they use dead babies in this village? I was halfway through my sentence when Granny Ma's cold laugh cut me off. Dead babies. They use live baby girls. They use live baby girls as sacrifices to ensure the men in the family have good fortune. But something still didn't add up. The family grandma had just shown me. Uncle Liu's daughter is a big star. How is she still alive and well? That is because she has a twin sister. Their family used blood sacrifice rituals. Otherwise, there's no way they'd be this rich and powerful. Talking about this, Aunt Ma suddenly looked at my belly with pity. Child, you're carrying a girl too, aren't you? My hand on my belly jerked. At that moment, I believed everything Aunt Ma said. Because I really was carrying the daughter. Even though the law doesn't allow it. Liu Yuan is a doctor himself. At first, I worried my mother-in-law, living in the countryside, would prefer boys over girls. But surprisingly, when she found out I was having a girl, she wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, she was unusually warm. Now, I finally understand why. But does Liu Yuan know about all this? My mind was all over the place. Aunt Ma didn't give me time to overthink. She grabbed my shoulders, looking serious, making me look her in the eye. Child, you can't let your guard down. This village is full of demons. They'll do anything for their own wealth and status. I can help you escape. Just tonight, I kept Aunt Ma's words in my heart, and silently prayed I could get out of this. Oh, right, Aunt Ma. Is that little girl your granddaughter? You've got to keep her hidden. Before leaving, I thought about that girl, with the pigtails again. Aunt Ma smiled bitterly, and said she'd done her best, probably to protect her. That is why their life turned out like this. My mother-in-law didn't scold me for taking too long. Instead, she looked concerned. You took so long in the bathroom. Everything okay? Her words showed she cared about me. But her eyes kept staring at my belly. I faked being calm and brushed it off. Mom, you've been taking care of me these past few days. Hard work. I'll cook dinner tonight. After getting home, I offered to cook for my mother-in-law. She refused at first, but I insisted. She gently touched my belly and said warmly, what you're carrying is our family's treasure. Be very careful. This move scared me to death. It felt like my belly was about to grow fruit. After I ate the food, my mother-in-law soon fell into a deep dark sleep. My heart was pounding like crazy. This was my first time in her room. The whole room was filled with a thick smell of incense and burnt paper money. It was so strong, it made me feel sick. I reached under her pillow and felt around for a long time. Finally, I pulled out a crumpled piece of scrap metal. I didn't know what it was for, but Aunt Ma said that, to get out of here, I had to. Here, take this. That is why I put sleeping pills in Grandma's food. I rushed over to Aunt Ma's place, begging her to take me away quickly. Aunt Ma, I really can't stay here anymore. All I can see is that beaten kid's face. Please, just take me away now. The village gate is guarded day and night. Only Aunt Ma knows a hidden path out. But Aunt Ma looked at my belly, and her brows suddenly tightened. Is something wrong, Aunt Ma? My heart skipped a beat. She opened her mouth, then told me not to worry. After that, she led me to a big dark house. I looked it over in the night. Isn't this the ancestral hall? Why is Aunt Ma bringing me here? As the big iron key turned and the door slowly opened, Aunt May acted like she'd been waiting forever. Stumbling inside, the hall had lots of memorial tablets. She flipped through them, one by one, muttering over and over, Chin Chin, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Granny's here. Granny's here. Mom, Aunt Ma, what are you doing? Let me help you. When she heard my voice, it was like Aunt Ma remembered something. Her eyes lit up. She nodded frantically. He likes you. He likes you. Come here. You say it. She dragged me over to the table without another word, forcing me to kneel. I was pinned down, my shoulders hurting so bad. I gasped, but Aunt Ma didn't care. She pulled a talisman from her pocket and lit it with the candle on the table. As the talisman burned to ashes, the little girl with pigtails appeared at the outer table without warning, staring at me timidly. Aunt Ma shoved me, signaling me to pull her over. Seeing how pitiful the girl looked, I felt a motherly urge well up inside. Somehow, I reached my hand out to her. Her pale face visibly showed a smile. She stretched out a thin, dark little hand, slowly moving closer. As she got closer and closer, I couldn't help but shiver. Just when his fingertips were about to touch my hand, the ancestral hall door was suddenly shoved open. Wife, get out of the way. I was in shock. My hand frozen in midair. The one who came was actually my husband, Liu Yuan. Seeing me standing there, frozen, Liu Yuan charged over without a word and yanked me aside. He stood behind me, staring at Auntie Ma warily. You Ma, family woman, you still won't give up, still trying to plot against our family. My mother-in-law's voice boomed in from the doorway, as a group of people filed in behind her. You old hag, why do you always haunt us? How many people do you need to destroy? Aunt Ma's eyes were venomous, matched with her scarred face. She looked like a man-eating demon. I shrank behind my husband, trembling. Don't know what you're blabbing about. Take her down. Before Aunt Ma could finish, the group rushed in and dragged Aunt Ma away. By now, even as clueless as I was, I knew Aunt Ma had used me. Because of this, I had even given my mother-in-law sleeping pills. On the way home, I didn't say a word, sticking close behind my husband. My mind simply couldn't keep up. I didn't know who to trust anymore. Finally, my mother-in-law broke the silence, speaking up first. Mom doesn't blame you. It is all my fault for not telling you clearly. Then the two of them exchanged a look, and my mother-in-law asked me what Auntie Anne had said. With my husband comforting me, I spilled everything that had happened in the past 2 days. But who would have thought after hearing it? My mother-in-law slammed her hand hard on the table and shouted, "Nonsense! He is dead set on his scheme." Seeing I was startled, my mother-in-law sighed and told us the story of Aunt Ma's. It turned out that the Dasheng village in this area originated from her family. So she was the one who got rich first. She was the one who buried her own granddaughter alive into the foundation. And that is exactly why, after being found out, her family quickly fell apart. But to protect the villagers, my mother-in-law had no choice but to use fake dolls to replace the family members. And all, for the sake of future generations. Generation after generation, they stayed in the village. We old folks are already halfway to the grave. We just want you all to be okay. Her words made my nose sting. After Liu Yuan got married, I wanted to wait 2 years before having kids, but he was in such a hurry. At first, I thought it was for the same reason, but it turned out he was just excited about grandma, looking forward to family joy. Mom, I'm sorry, I was so stupid. I got tricked by someone, and almost made a huge mistake. Later, my husband told me, I found out there were some cursed things sealed in the ancestral hall. If they got out, no one in the village would survive. Aunt Ma did it for revenge. Her son and daughter-in-law died from karma, leaving only him. My husband sighed, sounding a bit regretful. Yeah, doesn't he still have a little granddaughter? At the ancestral hall, I was about to say something, then suddenly stopped. I realized something terrifying. If Aunt Ma used her own granddaughter as a living sacrifice, then the little girl I've been seeing these days, she, my teeth chattered. I looked at my husband for confirmation. His eyes were full of gentle warmth. He gently patted my back. Then with a grave look, he finished my sentence. She is a ghost, an vengeful spirit that can't be reincarnated. Grandma told me. Luckily she noticed I'd been acting off for the last couple of days, and thought maybe I wasn't adjusting to the village. So she called my husband to come pick me up. When Liu Yuan came back, I happened to not be home, and he immediately sensed something was wrong, and woke up Grandma. Luckily, it was just in time, and I was saved. A vengeful spirit can only become human again by possessing a body. Hearing that, I shuddered. So basically, I almost killed my own child. My face was full of guilt. My husband saw it too. He hugged me tightly, comforting me. But when Grandma heard I had seen that kid before, she couldn't sit still. No. He is already possessed by yin energy. We have to do something. Mom, what happens if yin energy gets attached to you? Liu Yuan looked just as nervous. After all, this is the fruit of our love. There is a way, but it is extremely painful. Pingping's mom, I'm not afraid. It is all because I let my mind wander. That let Maple take advantage of it. Now for the sake of our child. No matter how painful, I won't be scared. Before my mother-in-law finished speaking, I quickly spoke up. Good. That is my good daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law went into the room, fiddled around for a while, and handed me a bowl of black stuff. She said drinking it would get rid of the yin energy inside me, but the taste would be like being scraped to the bone. She told me to hold it together for the baby in my belly. I nodded, picked up the bowl, and downed it in one gulp. Honey, don't worry, I'll be right here with you. Liu Yuan took leave from the hospital, saying he'd wait until I got better to take me back. To keep my energy up, my mother-in-law even specially cooked a huge table of delicious food. Ping, eat up, so you'll have strength. This is to boost your blood and energy. Good for your body. Looking at my mother-in-law, who was like a real mom, I almost couldn't hold back my tears. I silently swore to myself, I'd definitely take good care of her in the future. That night, the pain didn't hit until the wee hours. It hurt so much I couldn't even scream. I was about to lose it. Sweat was pouring off me. My hair was wet and stuck to the pillow. My whole stomach was churning, like something was stretching out inside. My husband patiently kept at it, wiping me down over and over. Don't be scared, honey. I'm here. Does it hurt? If it does, bite my arm. Don't try to tough it out. I won't feel it. His phone kept ringing during it all, but he didn't pay it any mind, focusing entirely on taking care of me. It finally let up a bit in between, and I drifted off to sleep. When I woke up again, I was surprised not to see Liu Yuan around. This makes me feel totally insecure. Full body sensation, even though my whole body was weak. I forced myself to get up. When I got to the door, I suddenly heard Liu Yuan's voice. Mom, how much longer is this gonna take? I'm really getting anxious. My heart felt warm. He really loves me. I wanted to go out and comfort him. But the next second, my hand froze in midair as I was about to open the door. It doesn't matter if Xiuping lives or dies. You just need to get the baby out. Right after that, my mother-in-law chimed in. What is the rush? Haste makes waste. I already gave him the medicine. He'll give birth in a day at most. But Liu Yuan clearly didn't agree. He seemed too impatient. Right then, his phone started ringing non-stop again. I grabbed it and looked. All kinds of debt collection messages, then threatening texts filled the inbox. Hey, Liu, if you don't pay up soon, we're coming to your workplace. We'll make you pay big time. Don't think you can just hide and get away with it. Damn it. I'll find you and chop your legs off. In an instant, I felt like I was in an ice cave. All I was doing was waiting for the baby to come, and then just bury it in the foundation, and it'd be fine. But that damn Okui managed to sneak past me, and messed up our living pile ritual. We should never have been soft and let him live. Mom, how about we take him out sometime? Li Yuyuan's tone was vicious. He was obviously planning to kill Makui to silence her. But to my surprise, his mom shut it down. I thought he'd had a change of heart. But instead, he just wanted to use someone else to do the dirty work. He also messed with old man Zhang's property. They won't let him off easy. Only then did Liu Yuan back off. And it was from their conversation that I realized Liu Yuan had been lying to me from the start. There was no such thing as love at first sight. It is just that I happened to be orphaned, so nobody would come after him if I died. It is sad that back then, I actually thought he genuinely loved me. The reason he came back was because his property had been tampered with, which made all his invested money go down the drain. He was drowning in debt, and it was a pretty serious medical accident. She couldn't work properly anymore, so she pushed me to have the baby. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I touched the child in my belly, but even before being born, he already had to go through all this scheming. But it was the child in my belly that woke me up. Was I just gonna accept my fate? No way. Dead or alive, I won't let them win. Thinking about it, my exhausted body somehow found a little strength. While mother and son were plotting, I quietly slipped over to the window. I love rooms with good light, so I picked this spacious one on purpose. It just so happens there's a window leading outside, but with my 6-month belly, I was just too clumsy. As soon as I got one leg over, I got completely stuck on the window. Right when I was panicking, a hand with torn flesh gently held me from behind. I turned around in shock, and it was Aunt Ma. She called out. Aunt Ma signaled me to keep quiet, so we wouldn't draw attention. With her help, I climbed out pretty quickly, but we hadn't gotten far when my stomach started hurting badly again. I collapsed to my knees, completely drained. I knew I couldn't escape. At the same time, my water broke. It was time to give birth. Granny Ma saw it, and her eyes went wide. That snake-hearted old woman, Liu Huiji, actually gave you this kind of drug. Granny Ma, are they trying to induce labor? Granny Ma told me yes and no. My mother-in-law and the others couldn't wait anymore, so they gave me the drug to induce labor. But if the baby's not full-term, the child I give birth to might not survive, and without strong vitality, it wouldn't work for the foundation sacrifice. So she added stuff to the drug to make the baby in my belly grow wildly overnight, like ripening fruit. That's why I felt like my stomach was churning uncontrollably. My child, you've suffered so much. Now I knew there was no other way. I just had to give birth. Maple gently wiped the sweat from my forehead. She said looking at me felt like seeing her own daughter-in-law. She had nearly killed herself giving birth to Qing Qing back then, to keep me strong and motivated during labor. Maple told me her granddaughter's story, and I saw just how ruthless the old woman could be. Aunt Ma's daughter-in-law had struggled so hard to give birth to Qing Qing. The baby came early. As soon as she was born, she barely had any life in her. Aunt Ma knew the old woman had some skills, so she went to her with the baby. The old woman acted like she'd help, But really, the life stake sacrifice at home was overdue, and she hadn't found the right one yet. She'd been stressing about it for a long time, seeing an opportunity land right in her lap. She wasn't going to turn it down, but she couldn't do it herself, so she fooled Maple into placing Qing Qing in the foundation of the Liu family's house. This kid's earth element is way too weak. Just a few hours in this foundation will fix her right up. At that point, Aunt Ma was so desperate she'd try anything. So of course she believed every word. Then that sharp piece of wood pierced Qing Qing's fragile body. Maple froze. She clawed at the ground till her hands bled. But she couldn't get Qing Qing's body back. She screamed that the old woman would rot in hell. But the old woman just watched coldly. You're the one who put the kid in there. Besides, becoming a life stake means she'll never find peace in the afterlife. Isn't that a kind of immortality too? Haha. That is exactly why. Qing Qing refused to go with Aunt Ma's, but strangely, she took a liking to me. Which is why she kept saving me. Earlier, she led me to Aunt Ma's, so Aunt Ma would help me out, and Aunt Ma did save me later on. But she still wanted to take Qing Qing with her. Child, I'm sorry, the old woman was too impatient. So that day, without asking you first, I barged into the ancestral hall with you. Qing Qing's parents had already died because of the old woman's scheme, and Aunt Ma barely escaped with her life. For some reason, she managed to survive, but she didn't have a key to the ancestral hall. Where is Qing Qing's spirit tablet? All the tablets from the life stakes are kept there. These people destroy lives, but try to cleanse their own sins at the same time. Aunt Ma also told me that crazy woman was actually a college student who got tricked into coming to the village. She has already had several kids, because her mother-in-law read her fortune based on her birth date and time, and found out she was destined to never have sons, so she became a group baby maker for all the unmarried men. I can't believe it. She'd even go after her own descendants. Maple shook her head. She'd been holding those words in for a long time. I once forced myself to start pushing through the pain in that story. Maple's face was full of worry. Now was not a good time to give birth. Maple, you go. If they catch you again, I'm sure I'm still useful to them. At least there'll still be a chance. No way. Since Qing Qing asked me to save you, I'll risk this old life of mine to do it. Maple's tone was filled with unshakable determination. How touching. Too bad though. None of you are getting away. Liu Yun suddenly appeared. The lie also means we've been exposed. Pock-marked Granny. You're really lucky. Even you managed to escape. Granny's gaze swept over sharply, but when her eyes landed on my belly, which was in labor, her expression instantly turned joyful. My daughter-in-law, don't listen to that wicked old hack. You've done our family a great favor. How could I ever want to take your life? My mother-in-law said, as she slowly moved closer. Look, what use is a girl anyway? Once you're healed, you can have another son with Ayuan. Wouldn't that be great for our family's fortune? Pock-marked Granny shielded me behind her. She watched Liu Yuan and his mother warily. Child, can you still move? I shook my head, weakly. That pain just now came fast and fierce, draining all my strength. Hang in there a little longer. Someone will come to save us. Pock-marked Granny said, firmly. But I knew she was just trying to comfort me. Everyone in this village is an accomplice. Who would come to help us? All right. Mom, enough talk. If not, I'll just perform a C-section on her. Liu Yuan said as he pulled out a sharp scalpel. You little bastard. How dare you? Pock-marked Granny yelled loudly. But Liu Yuan shoved her to the ground. He ripped open my clothes. The cold gleaming blade came straight down. I closed my eyes, accepting my inevitable fate willingly. But to my surprise, the blade stopped just inches from my belly. My eyes widened. It couldn't be that this bastard had a moment of mercy, could it? My mother-in-law also looked bewildered. She urged him impatiently. Aiyuan, what are you doing? You don't actually want to keep it, do you? Liu Yong had a gloomy face. He looked at her for help. Mom, I can't do it. Can't do it. What do you mean? I looked at his hand. That is when I noticed it was frozen in mid-air. Even lifting it gently, he couldn't pull it out. It was like some invisible force was holding him back, playing tricks on me, right in front of me. You're asking for it. The old woman spoke in a raspy voice. She pulled out a handful of bright red cinnabar and threw it at me. With a pained scream, Qing Qing's figure appeared. She fell to the ground, shaking all over, clearly badly hurt. Qing Qing, my Qing Qing, Granny Ma screamed, heartbroken. But Liu Yuan had kicked her so hard, she couldn't move. Liu Yuan was thrilled to find he could move again. He grinned darkly and aimed at my belly again. You son of a bitch, die. Die, I'll kill you. After all this time, I managed to muster a little strength. I grabbed a rock by my hand and threw it at him without thinking. Its sharp edge stabbed right into his eye. Liu Yuan cried out in pain, and the knife in his hand dropped with a clang. Bitch, how dare you hurt my son? Granny took a big step forward. But then, a gust of wind rushed past, and she collapsed, clutching her chest. That knife she'd dropped was stuck right in her chest, gleaming bright. I stared blankly at the tattered figure in front of me. He was still alive. That crazy woman. Granny Ma saw this, and burst out laughing. Liu Huiji, you got what you deserved. Hey. This is karma, right? Your daughter Shui was tricked into coming here in the first place. All her kids died at Granny's hands. I thought Qing was the backup Granny Ma mentioned. Never expected it to be this crazy woman. There were still bruises on her hands and feet from being tied up. Looks like Granny Ma let her out. The woman turned and looked at Liu Yuan, rolling on the ground in pain. Without a word, she went to pull the knife out of Granny's chest. But Granny grabbed it tight. Yuan, run. Mom can't make it. You run. Granny screamed. Crimson blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. She really did love her son that much. I gotta protect Liu Yuan no matter what. Please. It was wrong of Yuan to trick you into coming here. I'll pay with my life. Okay, seeing the woman's murderous intent didn't fade. The old lady actually started begging. She was tricked here by Liu Yuan. I should have figured that out. Back then, I begged her the same way. The woman's voice was low. No joy or sadness in it. She'd been through too much abuse. She didn't have any emotions left. With that, she pulled out the knife without mercy. The blood-stained tip slowly closed in on Liu Yuan. He kept backing away, trying to escape, but his injured eyes made it hard to see where he was going. Honey, I know I messed up. Really. It was all my mom being too stubborn. I tried to talk her out of it. Just spare me. Wait. Amid Liu Yuan's pleas for help, I grabbed the woman as she passed by me. She paused, and actually stopped. Seeing that, Liu Yuan was overjoyed. Honey, I knew you wouldn't have the heart. I'm the father of your baby. Let's go home together, okay? I'll find you the best OB-GYN hospital. Baby. Don't believe a word, he says. A scumbag like him deserves to die. Cough. Maple thought I was going soft, and almost spat out blood from anger. Let me do this. I snatched the knife from the woman's hand and stabbed it straight into Liu Yuan's thigh, so he couldn't move an inch. This is what you owe me. Pulled it out. Then, another stab. This is what you owe the baby. Stab after stab. Warm blood splattered on my face. And weirdly, it felt kind of satisfying. Until the last stab. The woman grabbed it away and drove it into Liu Yuan's heart. You still have a chance. Don't dirty your hands. Under her messy hair. It was his kind smile. The pain. It hurts so bad. My belly, through all this mess, started hurting again, non-stop. No. It is too rough. The kid's already dead. He just won't come out. Old Maple came over, helped by the woman, to deliver my baby. She felt my belly, looking helpless. I don't want my baby to die. He hasn't even seen this world yet. He can't die. I struggled to sit up and reached out to Qing, whose frame was getting thinner and thinner. Old Maple froze. I'm doing this voluntarily. Qing helped me out. Since heaven arranged it this way, then I'll take on this mother-child bond. As Qing's small figure slowly got closer, my consciousness started to fade, and I only saw him slowly turn into a wisp of white smoke, drifting gently toward my belly. Push hard. Push harder. Come on, don't sleep, kid. Your baby's almost here. Old Maple and the woman kept cheering me on. Finally, with a painful scream from me, I heard a loud cry. The sky was slowly getting light, and the sun was shedding its first rays. When I got back to the village, those new houses were all knocked down by bulldozers. Rows of pale bones stabbed at my eyes. The woman calmly admitted to killing Liu Yuan and her child. She gave birth to one after another, but none of them survived. I shoved the baby into her arms. Qing, this is your godmother. You have to remember him. The woman suddenly looked up, her eyes full of tears. I believe that with a good lawyer, he'll be treated fairly. After everything was settled, I saw old Maple at the hospital, on her deathbed. When she heard I named the kid Qing, she burst into tears, old as she was. I thought you were a good kid. I'd actually known what old Maple was up to all along, using the baby in my belly to resurrect her own granddaughter. But in the end, she couldn't go through with it. Instead, that is just how fate played out. I took Qing and buried Maple. Then, we went back to the city. There is still a long road ahead. Qing, you grow up soon. The end.